What is going on, everybody? We are on 12/6/2. This is the first customer ride on this build. I have been driving for probably 150 kilometers this morning and have not had a disengagement. So we will see what happens. I probably just jinxed everything. We have rainy, cold weather and non-ideal circumstances, which I also kind of like for testing purposes. This is going to be a longer ride, so I will probably just do a raw video of it, maybe with some voiceover, just to show transparently the first trip and how it performs, and we'll see what happens. So I am going to take over. I can see my customer to the left there. Let's see what we got. Lovely weather, huh?
Oh, yeah.
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Oh, can't complain. Can't complain.
All right. Let's get out of here.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, my pleasure. Appreciate your business.
Sure. Busy day today?
Not as much as I'd like, but I've mostly been in kind of the Sebring and country areas, so hopefully as I make it into Sarasota and Bradenton and all, it picks up a bit.
So you're out, you work typically over in Sebring, is what you're saying?
Not always. I've adapted sort of a like fishing mentality when it comes to this. Real quick, let me get your PIN code before we...
My PIN code?
Actually, nope, never mind. Yours was scheduled by somebody, so I don't need it.
Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah.
That makes it simpler.
Okay.
Yeah, usually with people there's a little 4-digit PIN, like a two authentication or some such.
Gotcha.
But yeah, no. So I've since being back in Florida, I was born and raised here, but I was serving the military in California for 11 years.
Oh, really? What branch?
Navy.
Really? Well,
yep.
my son's in the Navy. I was in the Marine Corps and the Air Force.
Oh, fantastic!
So, thank you for your service.
Yeah, appreciate yours. Doubly so with two different branches.
My son is actually over in Greece right now, so he is.
Wow.
He's coming back in March. So
I hope he's enjoying the hell out of that. That's crazy.
He is. As a matter of fact, he was in London this past weekend and just got back yesterday. So. My advice to him was, since you're over in Europe, go see it.
Yeah,
you probably won't have the opportunity when you come back to the States. So, certainly go see what you can while you're over there. And he has certainly taken advantage of it. He's been to Germany, Switzerland, been to Belgium, been to England. Obviously, he's going to Italy. So
fantastic.
He's getting to see the world.
Yeah, my whole term was just in San Diego.
Oh, really? Wow.
So, I mean, a beautiful place to live on Uncle Sam's dime. Not so much once you're out.
Exactly.
It's one of the reasons my wife and I moved back here.
Yes.
But I've been doing this kind of work after I got out, just being in charge of myself versus dealing with some dumb civilian boss.
Right.
And I've loved it. And I mean, monetarily, it's an extremely lucrative thing if you treat it like a business versus just a side gig.
Right.
The difference is that in California, there is sort of a predictable proportionality between the time driven and the money earned.
Mm-hmm.
So, like a $5-6 trip, you knew it was going to be maybe 5-10 minutes of your time.
Gotcha.
Out here, that's not the case.
Right.
A $5 trip could be half an hour.
Correct. Yes.
So going back to the fishing mentality, Uber and Lyft are my rods, and I cast them out for the bigger rides, which I never had to do in Cali. So like my acceptance rate on Uber is like 12% because they also did another really dumb thing that shows you that they're just thinking about profits. They're not thinking about driver earnings. They bucketed the cheap share ride and X and comfort all under the same tab. So you can't even differentiate between wanting to focus on the more comfort level rides for the higher tier cars or whatever. That's a whole nother plethora of issue.
Gotcha.
But places like Sebring and Bartow and such, there are a lot of decent chances for rides to Tampa and Orlando airports.
Right.
So $30+ rides.
Gotcha.
So that's every now and then, when I'm starting out, because I live in Haines City, I'll either head down to Sebring or into Bartow and hope to get a big hit. I wasn't really getting any, so turn the boat on and move over.
Yeah, there you go.
Was kind of heading toward Bradenton when I caught yours, and for the value of the ride too, it's actually good. I'm actually looking at time versus earnings now, and pretty much anything over $30 or at that $25 per hour kind of drive time plus, because I've seen as much as $60 for an hour worth of my time too. It's really crazy how spread it is.
Wow, crazy. Well, I'm sure you're very familiar with Avon Park. That was one of my duty stations when I was in the Air Force. So I was there for
I drove through there yesterday.
3.5 years.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, if I wasn't married, I probably would actually be in the Air Force now or in Space Force, more likely.
Yeah.
Man, I met my wife after I got out of the Navy, and she's very much not equipped for the military lifestyle.
Well, you know, to be honest with you, I don't think, you know, what I did specifically in the Air Force, I traveled a lot. And it would not have behooved me to have been married at the time, because I would have probably been divorced. I know probably 60% of the guys that I was, you know, in the same unit with, they got divorces over the time that they were, you know, in.
Yeah.
So, just because of the travel, and, you know, it's just crazy.
The time away. Yeah, my wife is very self-aware with that, as I am too. I mean, I had a girlfriend when I went into the Navy, and there was just never a time frame where we saw ourselves reconnecting.
Right, yeah.
So we dropped it off, and then I never seriously dated while I was in the service, because I also didn't want, one, to put a woman through that, and two, to have the headache. I'd rather just be able to focus on my task, and I don't mind being away. I mean, I could be on deployments to Mars and be okay.
Yeah.
Which is, my wife knows that if the opportunity came up to actually do any kind of service to Mars, that I would have to say yes to that.
Awesome.
She's prepared for that.
Yeah. Awesome.
Maybe in our lifetime we'll see it.
Yeah, well, I'm sure we will. I'm sure we will.
With the way things are going, I'm very optimistic.
Yeah.
But, I mean, just being back in Florida and driving past Patrick's Air Force Base and all, and being back on the East Coast and watching the rockets launch, like New Glenn and Falcon and eventually Starship probably next year.
Yep.
It feels so good to be home.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, I bet. I spent a little time in California, just kind of going out there for deployments, but not a whole lot. So
11 years, 13 to 24.
Wow.
Oh, just struggling to stay ahead of the cost of living. And
Yeah.
I usually told people, because I mean, I did probably 9,000 Uber Lyft trips while the 4 years that I did it from like 2020 to 2024, and most people that asked how I liked California, I'd always be like, I don't want to be a buzzkill, but come to visit, don't live here.
Yes. Yeah,
Spend like a week or two.
Yeah, I would agree.
And then go home. Otherwise, the magic kind of gets killed by
exactly
traffic and crime and all the other stuff.
Exactly right.
Hopefully, it gets a turnaround if they can get some different leadership. But
well, I don't know. That's it's an awfully beautiful place.
It is
awfully beautiful.
Very much.
I certainly understand the environmental impacts, but at some point you got to go. Okay, you're running all of your citizens off. Maybe that's the ultimate plan. I don't know. But
kind of a self-destructive idea. Yeah.
It is exactly.
The people that won't leave are the ones that are too scared to live in Florida or Texas.
Right.
Everyone who is leaving wants to get back to some common sense.
Correct. Or it can't, someplace where they can afford, because,
as
you mentioned, living out there, the cost of living is just astronomical.
Yeah, we've been renting the whole time. Last 4 years, we lived in this little 700 square foot, 100-year-old wooden shack. For, if we were trying to rent it now, it'd be about $3,000 a month.
Oh my gosh.
And we have a beautiful 2024 build, brand new home in Haines City for $320,000. My mortgage is $2,200 for a 3-bed, 2-bath, garage. I mean, living like a human being, with some basic quality of life. Finally being able to experience charging these suckers at home, which is a wonderful thing. My wife hasn't had to charge her Tesla really outside of home since we've been here in August. It's crazy. I do, of course, because I drive a lot more. I mean, I've been to Miami like 4 times already, Jacksonville, Tampa, Vero Beach. Like, I am everywhere.
Wow.
But it is, it's good to be home.
I bet.
If I can have my way, I'll be joining the boat owners club by the end of the year too.
Well, that's one thing that I have never really wanted is I like to know people who have boats.
Yeah.
And I know my brother-in-law, first thing when he moved down to Florida, he bought a boat and it sat on the boat lip because he got kind of caught up in work. He could never really go out.
Yep.
Of course, when he came back in, he'd have to clean it, and it was just a whole lot of hassle. So he I think he had it for like 8 months and ended up selling it. So
there's the good old saying that the best day of any boater's life is the day you buy and the day you sell.
That is exactly right.
And you're a smart man. Know somebody with a boat rather than necessarily being the one with the boat.
That is correct. Yes.
I growing up in Florida and too young to really appreciate it. We lived in the Florida Keys. I was like maybe 5 to 7 years old, but I knew port and starboard before I knew left and right. And we had a little 20-footer in the backyard canal in Isla Mirada, and we pretty much went everywhere by boat. And So I grew up around maintaining, keeping them clean and all. And my father, who for the last 14 years has been teasing me like, when the hell are you going to get out of Biden's country and come back home? I love it. I mean, he wants to go fishing, he wants to work out, work on cars, he wants to do all the things, because we're relatively close in age. You know, it's one of the benefits of my parents having me young is my dad's just in his early 50s and I'm in my 30s.
Wow. Oh, wow.
So we've always been confused for brothers.
Yeah. Well, that's a good thing.
Yep, he just traded in his 24 for a 28 game fish now that I'm back, and
awesome.
We're going to be on the water a lot. And then I found out, I went to the St. Pete boat show with him while him and my stepmom signed their paper on their boat, and I didn't realize that they were going to have things in my price range, because I had no idea. I was completely ignorant to what I could afford. And then I was just snapping pictures back to the wife because I didn't want to bother her with it until I saw that it would be something fun that she might want to go to next time. And she saw some pictures of the pontoon boats I was sending her, and find out she freaking loves pontoon boats.
Yeah.
So I shifted my focus to looking at those more closely, and then I got bit by it too.
Yeah, the pontoon boats are really nice. They're not, if you're not familiar with boats or boating and you think about the pontoon boats of the past, that's not them anymore.
That was me. I was thinking of the hillbilly and the back swamp on the tin can.
Yeah, with the slide coming off the second deck, but
yep.
My brother lives in South Carolina on the lake, and he has a pontoon boat, and I mean, we can ski behind the damn thing. So
yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, I ended up going out. My wife's actually on a work trip coming back today from San Diego, so she got to see some friends, but she's just ready to be back. And I went out since it was a little colder. I figured out how people would do it. There's actually boat rentals at the Contemporary in Disney Bay. So they're little pontoons for like $49 per half hour, and I mean a little 10 horsepower motor, so you're barely hitting like 5 knots. But it was still cool. It's the first time I ever drove one, and I sent some pictures back to her, and for the first time saw her say that she can't wait to be on the water.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I was like, yes.
That's awesome.
Her mentality is shifting.
Yes. Now, is she from Florida?
No, she's from North Carolina originally.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah. That was another mentality or thought process for me was, I mean, it'd be real easy to road trip up there to see her family versus the flights and traveling from cross country and all. But I mean, I'd love to throw the boat on the back of the Model Y, which that's another wonderful thing since they're so light. Our Model Y's got a 3,500 pound towing cap, so it'll easily pull and launch and retrieve the boat with no issue.
Gotcha.
But we're gearing up mostly because, to your point, want to enjoy not getting too caught up in the work life and enjoy living a little.
Yeah, well, that's what I try to advise everybody is, enjoy life. I mean, you understand you have a job to do and you want to focus on work, but you also need to focus on yourself and family.
Bingo.
Because, I don't know if you have any children yet, but when you do, or if you do, you want to spend as much time with them as possible.
Yeah.
Because you can't get that back.
That was another reason I moved back here. My best friend of like 30 years lost his father a couple years ago, and that hit us both real hard, of course. And that just put some perspective in my eyes. I was like, I need to get home. I don't want it to be too late. See mom and dad. My sister's got kids of her own. My parents both restarted, so they have kids that could be my kids.
Gotcha.
So it feels great to not be the estranged family member that's way out in the middle of nowhere. Of course, we got greeted by 3 hurricanes. I mean, Debbie wasn't really much of anything. I grew up with them, so I wasn't too worried, but it was kind of cool to go through. Well, cool is probably not the best way to describe it, but we got directly hit by Milton, so we got a good test run of the hurricane-proof house and how the EVs work in a hurricane, which honestly, amazing. Never lost chargers or any issue. I mean, we had our other one powering our house when the power went down, or powering more directly our refrigerator and our internet, because we can't backflow the Model Y to the actual house. The crazy Cybertruck can. But it's a little bit too rich for my blood right now.
That's hurricane seasons have been bad over here for the past few years. I actually work for the power company, so.
Oh, you know it.
So it is. I'm ready to go somewhere else and fight them, but not here.
Yep. I will say though, the sense of initiative and preparedness that I saw after Helene came through and Milton was coming, and just DeSantis was on it. The lineman trucks cutting down brush and clearing pathways, telling everyone to get the debris from Helene out of there because it was going to become projectiles. It was nice.
Yeah, we've got it down to a science, that's for sure. I mean, that's, again, not to bash California, but they certainly have some lessons they need to learn. They keep doing the same stuff over and over and over and over again.
That's what I've told a few folks, because it seems that people have a short memory, but back in 2018 while I was there, we had terrible fires very similar to this, to where you were having ash raining on your cars. This is not a new thing. And I mean, just about a year ago, we had a really bad flood. Come on, buddy, commit to it if you're going to do it. There we go. They didn't clean up any of the drainage. So just a basic rainstorm had all of San Diego underwater. They had boats on highways getting people.
Yeah.
But that, yeah, the lack of preparedness, the incompetence that's causing all this excess damage. Oh, and yeah, car's been driving itself since I got you.
That's pretty cool.
Little nugget there.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I just got the latest update. I've been sitting on the same one for quite a while that wasn't performing all that great. This build has been impressive.
So what do they do? Just notify you when there's a update and you just download it like you would on your phone?
Very much so.
Wow.
Yeah. You'll see it on your app pop up that there's like an install ready, because I mean you can set it up. I've downloaded updates while on the road before, just using the hotspot on my phone, and then you just have to park the car for about 25 minutes while it restarts.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it's very much like a phone. You'll get a little notification that you got an update coming in, and if you're at home and it's allowed to your Wi-Fi, like I park in the garage and it just connects and gets whatever it can, and then I just install it, and then I've got new capability, new software, new modes. So it used to be called chill, average, and assertive. Now it's standard, chill, and hurry.
Oh, gotcha.
And I made the joke already to my audience. I have a YouTube following, a little bit on X, and I was like, hurry mode is very much going to be a Florida thing. I can see it already, especially on these back roads. People are big trucks flying down.
Yeah.
The previous builds have had an issue of lingering too low on the speed limit side. Like if the speed limit was 50 miles an hour, it's like cruising at 48, when everyone behind you is ready to go 70.
Gotcha.
And it's been really nice to see a more comfortable, natural flow of speed on this build.
Yeah. Well, speaking of speed, was what I've been trying to warn my son when he comes back. He's got to kind of get out of that European driving mode. 'Cause, I mean, I'm telling you, he's driving on people's ass and driving way faster than he should. And I'm going, dude, you cannot do that when you come back.
Yeah, that's very much a large segment of the Florida driving population, but you don't want to be those guys.
Well, yeah, I think he's like Florida on steroids right now.
I can imagine.
It's bad.
I've got a friggin' bumper sticker next to my plate to help try to dissuade, and it has worked. It's a fun kind of little psychological experiment. It's just a sticker of a gun pointing at you that says "Think twice, because I won't."
Right.
And I'll see some people that ride up right on me for a second, and then I notice them drifting back. I'm like, that's all I wanted. I just want you to take a second to see my disabled veteran plate and that sticker.
Yep, that's right.
To not want a FAFO.
That's right.
Doesn't work on everybody. I gotta use the Tesla regen to make the point extra clear for some folks, but that's actually kind of like that too, because it's not a sudden brake check. Like regen will just safely start to slow down.
Gotcha.
But man, California has its own kind of stupid driver, as any city does, but Florida, they are the realm of tailgaters.
They absolutely are. And people driving in the fast lane thinking it's the slow lane.
Oh yeah, that's very much a California thing too. That's real bad there. You'll have somebody cruising at 60 in a beat up old car with no desire to get over. Thank you, human, for letting me over. Awesome. One of the other kind of funny counterintuitive things is self-driving is so good at using turn signals that it can almost be a detriment sometimes, because people see the turn signal and go, no!
Right. Yeah.
More etiquette than the average human, which on the road isn't saying a whole lot.
That's exactly right.
Let's see if we choose the right road, though. We need to stay... Oh, no, we are going north. Good, so... No, we're not. Another little benefit is sometimes when I'm confused about the lanes, there are chances that it'll understand it better than me. There we go. Cool. Southbound.
So what mapping system does Tesla use? Do they have their own, or do they use like Google, or?
They have their sort of like augmented fused with Google, because it does say Google in the bottom right, but it's with Tesla's operating system and live traffic data feedback and everything and software, so like it knows to navigate the pathway, and most of the time is really good at adhering to the route. There might be some cases where the final drop-off pin is not as precise as it should be to tell the car to like go into this parking lot or into this little section. And that's where I gotta help it out a little bit. Fortunately, I am one of the cars on Tesla's, what they actually told me was the VIP list. That's why I get this little camera here. So given the amount of driving I do, I probably provide more data to them in a week than about 1,000 people do in a month.
Oh, wow.
Just because I'm always on the road.
Nice.
And we're kind of hugging here. I'm going to actually report that back. There we go. Not the worst thing in the world, but that was a little sloppy. But since they're seeing that, I'm trying to, anytime I get to those little slightly inaccurate pin scenarios, I'm trying to, hit that and then disengage to give a voice note for context. Be like, hey, accuracy's off here.
So what do you do? Just hit the camera icon? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, so this little camera icon is a dedicated snapshot feedback that goes straight to their priority listing on their team. And what it basically does is kind of like screen grabbing something on your computer, and it allows all of the cameras that are functioning with self-driving, 3 of which I can pull up here, but 8 total. They can review everything, including whether or not I have my hands on the wheel when I've disengaged. Like, they can see all that input like a black box, and then figure out why the disengagement happened. And if you're hitting the camera, they know there's a reason. Like, that was something that shouldn't have happened. And between real-world training data and simulation, they're able to try to provide that correction, and then eventually, when they've got enough corrections, they put that update out to all the cars.
Very nice.
Yeah, it's exciting to be a part of it. See where this self-driving world is going.
Yeah, with artificial intelligence and all of this, I can see probably in the next 10 years it's going to be a completely different world.
Yeah, I don't think we'll even recognize it.
No, we won't.
It's kind of hard to predict 5 years out. A decade is a whole different monster.
Yeah, it is.
A decade ago, we hadn't even had SpaceX landing rockets.
Correct.
It would probably be, I think it's like exactly, we're probably going to see like a 10-year video pop up for SpaceX at some point. I think it was either 2015 or 2016 when they did their first drone ship landing. Lots changed. Now they're catching the booster out of the sky.
Yeah, absolutely is.
Oh. Tunes playing in the background. Really curious to the etiquette of the system now on the highway, because it was very bad about being a Californian and wanting to sit in that passing lane. I don't know if I asked, does it feel okay in here? You got enough air?
Oh, yeah, I'm perfect. Yeah, I'm perfect. Thank you.
That's probably the biggest Tesla store I've seen. Every time I drive by it, I'm surprised. There we go. It got out of the passing lane. Oh, I'm so happy.
That's nice.
I used to have to force it to at the turn signal change because it would just sit there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
On this build, I'm actually curious to see, because I had a problem on the last one that I called runaway, where if somebody was getting up, like if that Ram behind us got close enough, it would just start to speed up all the way up to its max, which is 140K or about 85, 86 miles an hour. And I would have to take over to stop it from doing that, because it would, I guess, be thinking that there was a collision imminent, forcing it to try to create that distance. And on a road like this, it seemed coincidental, but sometimes it would get over if somebody was getting up on behind me. This build, I just got it today, so I'm curious to see, like, those backcountry roads is where that bad runaway would happen, because they do the yellow go-around.
Right.
And I had one case where, since it was completely open and empty, I didn't take over. I wanted to see what the car would do, and it got all the way up to about 140 kilometers an hour, and then started to hug the right shoulder where the grates were, because it kept thinking that the truck was going to be a threat. And I ended up grabbing it before it actually kind of went into these texture grades and started to slow down. I was like, that's not good. There needs to be a balance between getting out of people's way and excessively speeding. I've heard a lot of reports from people in my audience and other people on social media that the version 13 and these 12.6 builds have corrected a lot of that. I don't even know if anybody else really reported on the runaway issue that I'm talking about, because I don't know if that was more unique to me here in Florida or not. But it was a problem. So much so that I wanted to get my buddy to do like some dedicated testing with me and actually have him do several scenarios where he kind of bullies the car to see how it would react. Unfortunately, I didn't get to really test that before we got the update. We've just been too busy. But I might have to recruit him for future testing like that and get another car involved and see what we can make the self-driving do or how it reacts. So far, the adherence to the center lane and the way it's getting out of the passing lane is really nice. And it's doing a really good job of smoothly, because that car was actually kind of close to us right there. But we were kind of doing a double crossing.
I saw like a little red indication come on.
Yeah, the car it was looking at, Oh, I forgot I can actually do a full screen. And it's yelling at me to pay attention because I'm looking toward the screen and there's a camera here watching my eyes. So if I look forward, it goes away. That's good, it's keeping users attentive, and if you get too many strikes for not paying attention, you can't use the system for like a couple of weeks or so.
Really?
Yeah, it puts you in like timeout. We call it autopilot jail.
Nice.
I've never had the actual issue of getting completely strucken out. And I see people online that are like, I can't use autopilot again. And I'm like, honestly, to me, that tells me you probably shouldn't be using it at all.
Yeah.
If you can't focus, no. This is why we can't have nice things.
Yeah,
okay,
probably trying to use it the way it was not intended.
Yeah, I mean, I think that also kind of plays into sort of human nature. We see what we can get away with.
Absolutely.
Which is why you have to end up adding more rules, because people act dumb. I mean, the system is quite capable and truly fantastic. I mean, I've got over 2,000 hours on it, but still, you won't see me reading a book or trying to fall asleep or on my phone too much. I mean, my phone interactions usually mostly just Uber and Lyft, and I'll put it here to check something, but you'll never see me like this.
Yeah, gotcha.
Even as good as the system is, I just want to be a good steward of the technology. Because eventually, you'll have this thing be able to pick you up from the bar, you hop in the back seat, it takes you home safely, take your kids where they got to go without worrying about whether or not there's a creep in the front seat. All the things. Hearing and vision impaired might be able to get a car again that can do all the work for them.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Lots of great opportunity. And frankly, less traffic, less accidents, getting all these dumb humans out of the driver's seat. Personally, I'd be a lot more strict, just given my automotive and racetrack background. I would require an upper tier license to be able to drive once you have that capability.
Yeah, I would agree with you there.
Similar to, getting a Class 8 rig CDL, If we could even have a third of that time in before you can get a license, I bet there'd be a big difference.
Yeah.
Because we just kind of hand them out like hotcakes.
Yeah, well, I see, because I too drive a lot, and I see a lot of people staring at their cell phones while they're going down the road.
They got it up here on their hand.
Yeah. See people with iPads on, they're holding it on the steering wheel as they're driving, reading the book or the paper or whatever it is.
Yep.
It's like, oh, heavens.
Yeah, that's not good. I am all for people throwing in a podcast or an audio book or listening to something in the background and keeping the majority of their focus forward. But the second you're actually taking in visual stimulus on something, you've just thrown your safety out the window.
Agreed.
I mean, some people can't sing too loud without losing focus, so, you know, there's... It's a delicate spectrum.
Well, in reality, you know, you think about driving in itself. I think we've all gotten vehicles and going to a destination and you go, wait a minute, I don't really remember how I got here.
Where'd the last 10 minutes go?
You're either thinking about something, thinking about your day, thinking about something you're going to have to do, thinking about what you're doing after work, and not really focusing on the road.
Absolutely. You can even just be going through a train of thought and completely have lost all recollection.
Yep.
And realize that whole time that you were in your own form of mental autopilot. Last thing you want is to be shaken out of that because of something happening.
Right.
It didn't take long since being back that I actually got rear-ended in this thing. Fortunately, it was low enough speed that nothing actually happened to the car. But we were just in dead stop traffic in Haines City, and I mean, maybe moving 5-8 miles an hour. And I just all of a sudden feel this gunk. And I look back, and this girl's looking up, and I already knew. I was like, how? Were you down here on your phone, not paying attention to the fact that we're also in rush hour? You should be expecting the stops. And I thought my day was ruined because it felt significant. You know, it was a thud. But then I went to the back of the car, and of course they get out worried. And I've got a hat on that says defund gun control. So they were probably, not to mention the sticker and the veteran plate.
Yeah.
But even with all that, I looked at them, I was like, you guys okay?
Yeah.
And then I went and looked at my car and saw that there was no damage. There was like a dust pattern from like a ridge where you could see that there was some impact, but no scrape, no paint damage, nothing.
Oh, that's great.
And I went, holy shit.
Yeah.
All American product, pretty tough.
Yeah, that's always good when you come away with no damage.
Yep. I looked at them, I looked right at her, and I said, pay attention.
Please.
We're in rush hour.
Please put the phone down.
Yep.
Pay attention to what you're doing.
You got lucky here.
Yeah.
Otherwise, this would have been a very expensive day for you.
Yeah, well, my children, when they started driving years ago, I would test them. I knew they would be coming home from school or going to school, and I would text them just to see if they responded. And,
yes.
you know, they fell into the trap a couple of times, and after I scolded them, and they learned their lesson. Now, whether or not they did it with their friends, I don't know, but they wouldn't do it with me.
Sure, but at least you could definitely know that it was in the back of their mind.
Yes.
Like, ooh.
Yep.
What I often do if I need to communicate with anybody is I'll use some form of video or audio. Like I'll audio message my wife or send a snap video or something where, you know, like where they can see me, but I'm still driving. Now the hands-free idea, but I still like to minimize that too. Yeah, it is rampant. It is everywhere. You can tell a lot of folks, like, the light turns green and they have no idea because they're here.
Just sitting there.
I've adopted a two-step method there. Usually I flash my lights first because if you're paying attention at all, you're going to see those high beams kick on. If I have to honk at you, geez, are you sleeping? Oh, very good. That is actually a scenario I've wanted to test. Because on the last build, sometimes even as you're going under the yellow, the car would see yellow and go, "Urgh."
Oh, wow. Okay.
So really glad that's changed. Now let's see how we get in here, because it's actually tracking on both the accurate way, and we got some time. Just needs to dive in. Come on, get it. Yes!
Oh, nice.
So this is a true end-to-end full complete trip. I will...
Yeah, this is fine.
This is fine. Cool.
This is fine.
Well, it was fun chatting with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, good luck to you.
Thank you so much.
And I really appreciate it.
Yeah, so it's a button there. Just hold that and push out. Perfect.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure, man. Take care. Oh, boy. All right. Hang on. Let me turn this back on because it overheated, which is really crazy because it's not hot at all. GoPro. What's up, guys? So we just dropped off our customer, and yeah, I mean, you probably already saw it on this camera here, so that was kind of silly of me. Full trip, about 36 minutes of driving and conversation, and beautiful performance. From avoiding the passing lane, to sensibly getting around people, to just smooth lane transitions, staging, everything. In the rain, cold roads, which cold and wet's a little bit more dangerous than Florida's normal rain. And I'm happy with that. I hope going forward, because that's the first one. One single point of data or datum is not indicative of overall performance. But if that's an early indicator of how it's gonna perform, oh boy, I'm excited. So let me know what y'all thought of the video. On the quieter parts, I might have did a little voiceover, but we had a pretty good conversation for most of it. Let me know what you thought. I'm excited. It feels good to have a new software update. But I will catch you guys in the next one. Take care.